Hello to everyone. This is Viewpoint on noyantapan.tv and I am Benyamin Poghosyan, Senior Research Fellow at Armenia. Today we will discuss the protests which started in late March in Tavush region and then on May 9 reached Yerevan. First of all, when we have any protests in any post-Soviet country, including Armenia, many people inside that country and also many experts outside try to view only a geopolitical component, telling that, okay, this is something artificial, this is something organized by external powers. We saw this in 2018 during the Velvet Revolution when there were a lot of discussions that, okay, this is another West-organized color level revolution to bring no-Russia-friendly people into power in Armenia, and then they will start the process of moving away Armenia from Russia. If you look into the neighboring Georgia, I remember the discussions in late 2003 during the Rose Revolution that again, this is artificial, people were happy, no one had no reason to complain, but again, this was a West-organized movement to bring pro-Western Mikhail Saakashvili into power. And even now, when we look into Georgia, when a government tries to adopt the law on foreign influence and we have protests, again, some believe that there is no base to protest and all this is against the West organized movement to pull out the not too much pro-Western government in Georgia. And same in Armenia. When protests started in late March, after Prime Minister Pashinyan's visit to Tavush on March 18, there was a lot of discussions that, okay, what we have now is simply the Russia-orchestrated protests, that this is artificial, people have no reason to complain, and all this movement was about Russian efforts to topple pro-Western or anti-Russian government in Armenia and bring back pro-Russian people into the power. However, I never buy absolutely to this type of discussions that, okay, everything is organized, there is no base, everything is artificial, and etc. Of course, the middle powers and definitely great powers, they are inclined to use different movements or different conflicts to push forward their national interest. This is subjective, this is natural. This was the case, at least in the last few thousand years of human history. But again, it does not mean that everything is artificial and everything is organized. Now, when we are speaking about why people are protesting in Armenia, I believe the key answer to this question is this. Many people in Armenia, of course, it's very difficult to speak about percentages, but many people in Armenia, they are absolutely not happy what happened in Armenia-Azerbaijan relations in last 4 years, starting from 2020 Nagorno-Karabakh war. They are not happy for these 4 years of constant losses and humiliation. First, defeat in 2020 Nagorno-Karabakh war, then Azerbaijan incursions into Armenia proper 2021, 2022, and rejection of Azerbaijan to pull away its troops from Armenian territory, or let's call Soviet Armenia territory. Then, first blockade, and then forced displacement of all Armenians from Nagorno-Karabakh. Now, demands for this unilateral process of so-called delimitation and demarcation, which until now only resulted in Armenia giving more territories to Azerbaijan, while again Azerbaijan is clearly stating that it will not give up any territory which was even part of Soviet Armenia, despite arguing that yes, Armenia should give to Azerbaijan everything which was ever part of Soviet Azerbaijan. And also we see the new demands from Azerbaijan, like you should change your constitution, you should do this, Armenia should do this, Armenia should do that. That now Azerbaijan is the country who will decide the fate of South Caucasus, and Armenia has only one option, to hear and realize what Azerbaijan wants. Otherwise, the iron fist will hit Armenia again. So there are many people in Armenia who does not like this and who are interested to bring up some changes. So there was a really natural base for complaints and for resentment, and I believe this so-called delimitation and demarcation process was probably the last drop, which make many people not only to complain, sitting in their kitchens, so-called kitchen discussions, but also to be ready to do some action. And then we have the factor of church. After 2018, Velvet Revolution in Armenia, we have one clear trend. There is a growing decline of people trust towards political forces and politicians. And this trend became more evident after 2020, Nagorno-Karabakh war, and also in 2023, and most probably it will continue. So according to different polls, what we see now is that around 60% of Armenia's population, or even more, they don't trust any politician, and they don't want to do anything under the control or under the leadership of any politician or political force. And even if you look into the personal rating, like Prime Minister rating is less than 20%. But also, for example, the rating of the second president, Robert Kocharian, is around 2 and 3%, which automatically means that any movement led by politician or political force is not able to play the role of spark and somehow unite these layers of society who are absolutely not happy what is going on in Armenia-Azerbaijan relations in the last 4 years. And here we have the Archbishop of Tavush region, Archbishop Bagrat, who is not a politician, who is not a member of a political force, and I believe that here is a success. Like why he was able to play the role of spark and somehow to convince many people who are complaining but were not ready to make any action, who convinced the people that, okay, you should not only complain, but you should only take some actions, at least to take part in rallies, to close the streets, etc., etc. So what we see now in Armenia is a clear message to both Armenian government and also to Armenian friends, partners, and in broader terms to the international community that part of Armenian society, it's very challenging or difficult to say what part, but definitely they are not marginals. We are not speaking about a few hundred people. The part of Armenian society is against what happened in 2020-2024, is not ready to forget about the Nagorno-Karabakh Republic, just is not ready and does not want and is against to erase the memory of last 32 years, 1991, 2023, simply erase the memory and say, okay, there was no Nagorno-Karabakh Republic, there was no Nagorno-Karabakh, there was nothing. History started from, I don't know, January 1st, 2024. These people are not ready to do that. And this movement is about that. So the Archbishop Bagrat was able to unite or combine or to play the role of spark to convince these people to move. But this is not artificial. And of course, it's challenging to say how the protest movement will end, but definitely it shows that, again, part of society is not happy and part of society is ready to take actions if he sees a leader whom they trust. What does it mean in broader terms or in longer term? It means that if Armenia-Azerbaijan negotiations will continue within the same logic, that Azerbaijan does what it wants and Armenia suffers what it must, that Armenia should satisfy all Azerbaijani demands, otherwise Armenia will be beaten and beaten and beaten again. If the protest will continue under this logic, then this is definitely not a path toward lasting peace in the South Caucasus, or at least between Armenia and Azerbaijan, but this is path to the new conflict between Armenia and Azerbaijan. When, how, challenging to say. Everything, of course, depends also on regional and global geopolitics, war in Ukraine, Russia-West confrontation, the transition from unipolar world to post-unipolar world. All this will impact the developments in South Caucasus. But again, if the process will continue or continues based on the logic that Azerbaijan does what it wants, Armenia suffers what it must, and Armenia should realize any Azerbaijani whims, and this is a new status quo in South Caucasus, Azerbaijan wants, Armenia does. Then this is a recipe for new conflict and new war in the region somewhere in the near or mid-term future. This is all for today, and we will meet soon.